Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to another Netsphere podcast. I don't know what episode it is, honestly, but in this one, I interviewed Luke All on his journey from 0 to 7 million in e-commerce. He runs a really interesting operation. This was one of my favorite episodes so far. I feel like I learned a lot, and we actually had an amazing conversation. So I really hope that you guys like it. If you do, make sure you subscribe, drop a like on the video, and use the Shopify free trial link in the description to start your own Shopify journey. But with that said, let's get right into the video. Oh yeah, all the time, like every day. We release a new video basically actually literally every day. Sometimes not every day, but this month I think there's only been like 1 or 2 days that we didn't post a video.
No way. Is that that's on your personal channel?
Yeah. So I just do everything on my personal channel. Like I posted the podcast on my personal channel. I've streamed on my channel and like done clips from streams as videos. I just try to, post as much as I can. I don't really have a schedule, but I like to post every day if I can. And luckily I have been able to this month, so that's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been looking at your channel a lot recently and it's popping off, man. You're about to hit 100K. Congrats.
Thanks, bro.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're getting real close. I can't wait to hit that. It's going to be dope. Just to get the plaque, it's going to feel pretty awesome.
Your ego can be pleased.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get a nice little stroke of ego. But all right, I'm recording now, so we're officially live. For anybody that's watching this, on YouTube or in the Netsphere library, whatever it is, this is my friend Luke. And Luke, it's a pleasure to have you here, bro. I've been wanting to do this for a while. We've been trying to schedule it in. Finally, we got around to doing it. So, welcome.
Thank you, Arie. It's a pleasure to be here, man. I'm super excited.
Sweet. Well, the first thing that we usually begin with, as always, like this is just going to be a nice conversation, like a pretty chill vibe, nothing too crazy, but I'd like to start off by just, hearing a little bit about your story just so that other people can, honestly, and myself, I guess I don't really know exactly, where you came from. Like, I guess you're from California, but, I don't know too much about your journey. So if you could give us like a quick story time on what you got going on and how you came up.
Totally. Yeah, this is something that I'm trying to work more on anyways, telling my story, because they say from a personal branding perspective and a sales perspective, it helps people relate to you better when they know your story. I don't know. I was just at this Zen Drop conference in Vegas, and the guy speaking on personal brand, I forget the guy's name, Brett Knudsen. You know Brett Knudsen?
Yeah. I know that guy. I've seen him on Instagram, I think, like Reels.
Super intelligent guy. Like, sometimes there's people you see him on Instagram, you're like, all right, this is just like Gary V wannabe, but he had a lot of good stuff to say. And anyways, I digress. So my background, I'm actually not from California. I grew up in a small little farm town in Pennsylvania.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Hershey, Pennsylvania, chocolate town.
Hershey,
USA.
what? Is that where Hershey's from?
That is where the Hershey factory is located. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first taste of very average chocolate in retail. So,
That's interesting, dude.
But yeah, we spent a lot of the summers in the parks growing up, and I really liked I joke about it, but it really rubbed off on me, like the branded experience. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to Hershey Park, but you go in there and like everything's chocolate themed. There's like chocolate bars walking around, like at Disney World, you have Donald Duck.
That sounds
you have
so
like
funny.
You have a giant Hershey bar, which is crazy. So yeah, it felt very magical for me growing up there. And but by the time high school rolled around, I was like, I want to get the fuck out of here. This sucks.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna go nowhere. I don't want to, I have no idea what I want to do. So I applied to film school, got into USC Film School in LA, and packed my bags, and I never looked back. And once I was in LA, I was doing the film school thing. For any of you guys out there who have been to college, the importance of networking, right? You gotta throw yourself into it, and that's really what I wanted to do, because very quickly I realized I'm not gonna graduate. This, isn't anything better than what it was in high school. So I just put my head to the ground and just met as many people as I could. And through connecting with people, I eventually met Hayden Bowles.
Oh,
I don't
I
know if
didn't
you
know you
know.
guys were connected. That's interesting. Yeah, he's also from
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yes, also from Minnesota. And I mean, this is back 2017, beginning 2018. Like this guy was huge. He was like the only person doing Shopify dropshipping on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so, through a mutual friend, I started hanging out with him and a kid named Abdul and Brandon Lane, and then they invited me to travel with them um, as a content creator. So
Damn.
I pulled my camera and I was following them around, filming, and through that process, and they weren't paying me anything, which
Really?
in hindsight, it's kind of funny because I think that if they were paying me something, I wouldn't have went off and done my own thing, right? I
Huh.
would have been like pretty satisfied with just building what their vision was. Um, but I was very driven by money at that point because I didn't have any. I had like a
Mm-hmm.
couple grand on my bank account, and I was traveling the world, but I didn't. It wasn't my story, right?
Right.
So yeah, I built a brand when I was on the road with them and filmed some great content. I had like super expensive, super expensive camera, like equipment, just all the top tier stuff, and that translated well. And my Facebook ads started to do really well. At that point, people were just like taking product photos from AliExpress and
Yeah, literally.
running running Facebook ads on that, and it's just it worked back in the day. That's how easy it was.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but when people saw my like motion graphic ads and like actual models and stuff, they were like, "Holy shit! Like this is a real brand." And very beginning of my journey. And after that, just kind of blew up with. I just fell in love with it.
Yeah. And you just kept compounding.
Yeah, kept compounding. It just became an addiction. At times, a very unhealthy addiction. And now we're at the point where I own an aggregator and we control 22 brands. So we're at the point where we're preparing for a capital raise. We're starting to bring in bank loans. It's a very proven model, right? It's like if have a if you have a roll up of brands with proven P&Ls, they trust you as operators, and you want to buy a brand that's been profiting. It's a great connection, right? It's like, all right,
Yeah.
profit, add to a company that's profiting, who's doing this in bigger sense. They'll loan you that money to buy that asset. So that's kind of the game that we're playing now. Is just we want to acquire some really unique e-commerce brands and get up to the point where we're doing 50, 100 million a year.
Wow.
Right now we're only doing seven. This year we might do 7 or 8. Which is still awesome,
Right.
it's still super
That's
impressive.
amazing.
But it's like with that strategy, you do the math, it's pretty easy. I don't want to say easy, but it's pretty simple to quickly add up those numbers.
That's a
Right?
good
'Cause
way
all
to
you
put
need
it.
is
Simple. Like it's not easy, but
Yeah.
it's simple. You just keep stacking up the
Yes.
numbers.
You just keep stacking up the numbers. All you need is 5 brands doing 5 million a year, 25 million, and you don't even need to start these brands, right? You don't need to have a concept behind them. They've proven themselves and they're worth money, but a lot of these operators don't have the network to scale further, and they don't realize how much they're worth. And also, if they do realize how much they're worth, they're inherently going to be worth more when they're rolled up in a package deal. I don't know if you know too much about aggregators. I know we chatted about it a little while ago.
Yeah,
But,
I don't. We chatted a little bit, and then that's definitely something we got to cover on this because I don't think many people do. But I've been asked in my YouTube comments recently, like, "Hey, what do you think about Thrive, or whatever that one like big Amazon
Thrasio.
aggregator?" Or, yeah, Thrasio. That's what it was, not
Thrasio,
Thrive.
yeah. Yep.
So that's interesting for sure. Let me hear more about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So what's funny, when I started building the actual aggregator model in, I want to say February of 2020, right before COVID hit, I had a big consulting program and I took a few of like my top performing clients that I was coaching and I brought them in and hired them as managers, as media buyers. And we had like 5 or 6 brands at that point. And I mean, we had no idea what we're doing, but I was like, conceptually in the back of my head, this makes sense, right? It's
Right.
like, let's get a bunch of people together who have great ideas and let's build brands. I didn't know that aggregation was a thing. I honestly didn't.
Really? It just came natural,
You know,
like, putting people together.
yeah, I mean, it's like when you hear someone talk about it, it's like, oh, that makes sense. It's not like, I didn't build fucking Facebook, right? It's like, this is, I very linear, cued in skill set on just e-commerce, how to scale e-commerce brands. And it's like, all right, let's scale 10 brands, 20, 30.
Yeah.
But Thrasio started in 2018, and within 16 months, they hit $1 billion valuation, and they did it profitably. It was the quickest
So
company in
crazy.
the history of the world to reach $1 billion valuation profitably. So, once I found that out, and that I only heard of them like a year into building what I was building. Like I wasn't even calling myself an aggregator. I was calling myself a launch pad at that point, right?
Wow.
And I think like conceptually the idea for our launchpad for an aggregator is the same, except for it's more of a network based, or I want it to be more network based in the sense of like, you're a big YouTuber. I have some YouTube subscribers. I have some Instagram followers, Twitter now. So, we're kind of like cued in that space and we know what we're talking about, right? These guys running Thrasio, Boosted, Society Brands, they're all from the investment banking world. They're from, Morgan Stanley's, the Chases, and they're guys in suits and they understand finances, which is the number one thing to understand when building a massive corporation. But they don't resonate with the brand founders, right? So like we've been able to acquire a lot of brands for $0 cash down, simply because they believe in our leadership team. They believe in our grassroots approach to it, and they want to be part of their brand. Right, so like Thrasio, here's $1 million, get the fuck out. We want to run your brand for you, right? We're like, all right, here's $0. We'll give you 30%. We'll invest a ton of money into inventory, supply chain, employment. Give us your brand, and you can take 30% and do nothing.
So basically, scaling, like the
Yes.
value you offer is in the scale. So in the future value that the brand will be at through what you guys do. So that's actually a pretty good offer, even if it is free, or in terms of like zero money down. Like that is a good offer for them, especially a lot of founders. I mean, scaling is not easy and it's capital intensive. So getting somebody that can provide capital to scale and scale without you doing anything is a pretty appealing offer, if you ask me.
It is appealing, and I think a lot of those deals we've been able to close because of the rapport that I've built with my community. Like a lot of these kids were ex-students. A lot of these kids were kids who have been DMing me on Instagram for years, right? So like I've built that relationship with these people.
Right.
It's not extremely scalable, and that's why we're looking to get debt financing now, because I want to get to the point in a perfect even world where I do give these people, hey, here's a couple $100,000 for your brand. Right. Keep 10% equity, come on, help run the brand with me. And, so you can at least get your payout, right? Pay off your mortgages, whatever, retire your family, and continue to build, right? So like kind of meeting somewhere halfway in the middle, but we didn't have any money to do that in the beginning. So we were kind of just working with what we got, and we've acquired 12 brands through that strategy so far.
Crazy. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's also too like I'm working same as you. Like what? You're 23.
I just turned 26 actually, like a few days ago.
I'm 24. So like I'll call us like me and you both. We're in that Gen Z ecom world, right?
Yeah,
and like,
for sure.
Me and you might be kingpins in that space, right? But these guys slinging, selling their companies for 10, 20, 30 mil on LinkedIn or whatever on Twitter. We're not in that space.
No.
Right. So, the kids that we're teaching a lot of the times or that are looking up to us, they're just they're kids. Right.
Right. They're just getting started.
So, right. So like, but people involved in this space, they might stumble into a couple million of sales. Yeah. Right. It's what we've seen with a lot of the brands we've acquired, and they just don't know what they're doing.
Right.
So we're really like the only offer in their minds. You know,
Yeah.
like they don't know there's another world out there. You know what I'm saying?
That's a really great way to put it, bro. And it's something so I recently interviewed, like, the previous interview that I did was with the CEO of balls.co. Do you know that brand?
Yep.
And he's like in his mid 50s, I believe. So it, like, talking to him was like an enlightening moment. Like, it like all hit me at once. I was like, okay, there's like this whole other world of
Yep.
e-commerce that, like, we know nothing about, that is just ridiculous, like the venture capitalist world. Because he
Yep.
actually bought that brand. He didn't build it. He bought it, and now
Yep.
he runs it. So that was super interesting. And what I see you doing is basically like a clever way to be like a venture capital, but instead of just investing, you're also CEO in a way. So that's
Yeah.
that's really fascinating to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to bridge the gap, right? I'm trying
Right.
to pass the torch, right? From this Gen Z world that we might be big in,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a very small world.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everyone knows each other. The biggest people are doing a couple million a year. And in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. So it's like, how can we pass the torch and combine our resources, right? It actually really hit me when I was at the Zen Drop event in Vegas. This was a couple weeks ago, and there was only like 40, 50 kids at the event. And it was their select Zen Drop select sellers. So they're anyone doing between like 5 to 10 million a year in revenue, right? They're big clients.
Through
And I was
Zendrop.
sitting there through Zen Drop. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there in this room, and I'm looking around, and I'm doing the math in my head. There's 50 people here. Let's say they're all doing $5 million in sales. If you do the math, 250 million, if you can somehow aggregate that, right?
Right.
Um, so like that statistic alone is just like, that goes to show you that there are a lot of big players in our little world.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's kind of like a independent soldier. Like, how can we become an army? How can like we pull all of our resources together and take a share in a bigger pie, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people's egos aren't at the point where they're ready for something like that.
For
But
sure.
I sure as hell am. I mean, Jeff Bezos owns 16% of Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just want to build. Like, I love building, and I think that it's a model that's going to not only be required but necessary at some point. Like, look at what Amazon's doing. Like, look at Procter and Gamble. Look at Unilever, right? You go to a grocery store and you buy Dove body wash. You're not buying Dove. You're buying Unilever, and people don't know this, right? And it's like, they were aggregators in the retail space. It's like,
Wow.
what's the next movement? And it's like e-commerce, right? So it's gonna be a game. Like, within the last year, all these aggregators have been coming out of the woodworks. Like, people with no e-commerce experience have raised hundreds of millions. It's a really big boom and bust industry right now. Like, Factory 14 just went bust. They had 250 million in funds raised. And it's basically just going to be a game of like, all right, who are going to be the 2 or 3 that trickle to the top,
Right.
right? And I think I have a moat in the sense of like, I have a direct connect to like this little world that we're in.
Yeah.
Whereas like these other guys, they're just competing with money against other people with money.
Yeah.
Whereas like me and you have more stories to tell. We have a grassroots approach. We have communities that we've built. So it's a bit easier to build a moat in that sense. So like, I don't think that, at least in this current stage, I could ever compete with Thrasio,
Yeah.
but I don't need to. Like,
Exactly.
for one, they're aggregating purely Amazon brands, right? And I know you're a Shopify guy. We own our
For sure.
customers.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, you don't own your customers. Sure, it's great for profits, but there's not much of a multiple on those brands, because they don't own their customers.
Yeah, that's so
So
interesting, bro. Like, I love that you mentioned all this stuff. And on my channel, I mean, the main reason why I recently started covering so many other e-commerce brands, like not even drop shipping brands, just like these bigger brands, is for that same reason. It's just like a lot of people have no idea like the full scope of the e-commerce space. I think it's so easy to get caught up in like, finding a winning product, like drop shipping, that you forget that like, you're building a business and you can build something like huge, especially once you have the resources. So that's also, man, I've been on that same like wavelength. So I love this conversation so far. I want to ask you something a little bit more practical, I guess, just for my audience to hear, because I'm sure they're probably wondering about this. But when it comes to a brand that you guys take equity in or you partner with, what are some things that you guys look for? So, is it AOV or is it like a unique proposition? Like, what are you guys looking for at this point?
That's a great question. And that's something that we're constantly trying to improve. Like there's these big aggregators like Boosted, they have proprietary AI that basically they plug numbers in from a brand and it will just like spit out a valuation. Or
That's
it will
crazy.
just say no valuation, we're not acquiring them, right? So like we're not at that point yet because we don't have enough money flowing through us and we don't have enough financial acumen in our team to do something like that yet. But like right now we're essentially looking at, the trailing 12 months revenue performance. Is it growing? Is it dying? How much are they spending on marketing? Do they have a moat of some sort, right? I think the best thing here, can I share my screen? I'll pull up one of our brands we just acquired.
Go for it. Yeah, that'd be great.
This is a really cool one. It's a direct to consumer meat brand out of Illinois.
Whoa, that's super interesting.
Yeah. So let me screen.
Yeah, we'll have people joining in a bit, but
Yeah,
it
for
shouldn't
sure.
be too many people. Cool. Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, pretty simple. You've seen brands like this before. It's nothing like in absolutely crazy, but they were doing no marketing at all, and they were doing a consistent like 15-20K a month.
Oh shit, hold up. I think
Purely.
I'm only looking at your Discord screen.
Okay, let me switch that. Whoa.
Oh shit.
Here we go. Good.
Let me see. It's loading. My computer's like tweaking out right now.
We got Elon Musk smoking a joint on the call here now.
Yeah. I love that profile pig. Shit, this is like taking a while to load, but hold up. It'll load, I believe.
You think it will load?
I think so.
Month?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about a month away from doing cash deals. But like a brand like this, they weren't really their owner, smart guy, but he just doesn't really have the network to be able to grow this thing. So, plugging into Prestige, my aggregator, he's allowed to access Google Ads team, email marketing team, SMS team, influencer team, content team, Facebook ad team, supply chain, customer service.
How many employees do you
taxes,
have
accounting.
on your
We
team?
have 30. We have 30 now.
Holy shit. That's a huge team.
So it's like everything that you could possibly think of underneath the sun in e-commerce, we have available. And we're also an agency too. So like brands will come to us and they won't quite be ready to sell yet. And they just are like, all right, we'll try you out, pay you a retainer. And if we like you guys, then, maybe we'll let you acquire us.
Yeah.
So, and it's a good model. I tweeted about that recently, to mix the agency with something more equity based, like an aggregator, because you're getting the best of both worlds, right?
Right.
Agency is great for cash flow monthly. You're making really good money, high margins, right? Low exit potential. There's not much of a multiple when selling agencies. Then the opposite side, you have brands which have massive equity potential, and
Yeah.
usually have like 3 to 4 to 5x multiples. if they're rolled up. So that's like one thing. Like if Source to Table was trying to sell on their own, they wouldn't be able to get that much for it.
Right.
Right. As soon as they plug into Prestige, they double, triple in value because it's now part of a bigger ecosystem. Right.
I can see the branding potential here too, because like just from the website alone, like it's very, I mean, it's simple, but you know, it could be much better. I think it could, you know, have some improvements in like content and, you know,
oh, absolutely.
whatnot.
Yeah, and we
awesome.
haven't done any work on this so far, like nothing.
That's so cool, bro. So how did you find these people? You just like, you know, you just browse it like on Twitter, or how do you do it?
Yeah, so that's one of the benefits of having a personal brand in that sense. Like I talk about this a lot on my YouTube. I tweet about it a lot. When I have my Instagram, I posted about it a lot. So like a lot of people will just DM me and say, "Hey man, like this sounds cool." This guy actually we found. I want to say it was on like Flippa or Shopify Exchange, or maybe it was MicroAcquire. There's a lot of these like broker websites, all right. And we have a very small fledgling M&A team, and they're out every day, like just sending outreach messages, like, hey, like, would you want to be acquired, blah blah blah. So, yeah, that's kind of the concept.
Okay, that makes sense. You're just focusing on outreach a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And then, so have you had experience now so far selling a brand?
We haven't. Nope.
Okay.
We haven't sold a brand yet. We have our best brand right now is doing about 150K a month consistently, and that's like a 45% net margin.
Damn. So once you do, that's going to be a big liquidation event, like a big, you know, cash influx for your aggregator, and then you can just funnel that into more brands. So I'm starting to really see the potential of that model.
For sure, yeah, and like that, the brand that I want to sell soon, it's a fashion brand, and there's a massive moat around it. A returning customer rate's like 30%. There's a lot of really solid things about that business, and our model isn't to sell brands. We want to sell the entire holdings company.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but just to prove that we can do it as like a case study, we want to do that, and I think we can probably get like 3 to 4 million for that brand. So, if that pulls through, then you know that's, like you said, a great liquidity event. We get some cash, and also we get to, you know, have a nice little case study for new employees or brands that we bring on. So.
Right. Wow. So let me ask you this now. This is all amazing stuff, and I mean, selfishly, like, I'm learning a lot. But I want to, you know, kind of help my audience out here, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, Arie, like, you know, you're covering these like $100 million brands, but like I'm just trying to make my first sale, you know. So we got a wide range of people.
Sure.
What would you say to someone, like what's some advice that you would give someone starting like a brand right now in e-commerce? What's a good way to approach it?
It's a great question. And for everyone out there who thinks like that, yeah, I mean, I totally understand you. I was there, you know, 4 years ago. So, you know, I think what was interesting about that is I didn't know what I was doing, right? I had a brand and I shot beautiful content for it, but I didn't understand what a great product was. It was Chinese crap, you know? It was horrible. There was no mode. People hated their product. It was like 35, 40-day shipping times. This is back before e-packet was abolished. So you're just making so much money. It was like a $4 product cost with shipping to the US. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's a roundabout way of me saying like the product is the only thing that matters. Like you have to be selling something that people actually want and will come back and buy it again. And if that means that you have to work with your hands somehow, or you have to fucking build something or design something yourself, do it, right? At the beginning, there might not be much scale potential, but at least you're building something sustainable and that people like, and that can be scaled.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of these people that post like I don't know, like 150K a day screenshots or 200K a day screenshots. I'm like, all right, let's you know, open up the hood here. Like,
Yeah, unpack it.
what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this engine here? You know, and it's like most of these, like the kids who are people who are doing 150K days, they're not posting about it, right? It's because they feel like they have to post these 150K days because it's their only worth, right? They're like, oh, we just fucking crushed it. We just made a ton of money. It's like, but do you just scam people? You know, like, do these people actually like the product that they're getting? And I think that's like the biggest thing that beginners have to understand, that like, you know, try to make it without harming people.
Yeah,
Right?
and be
Which
product
is something
focused. That's good advice.
yeah, which is honestly, like, to be completely transparent, something that I can't say because, you know, it wasn't even out of the want to purposely harm people or spite. I just didn't know any better. I was 19, you know?
Right.
I was just scaling and I was like, this is cool, you know? Like, I wouldn't even look at customer service emails. You know, morally, I just won't do that anymore. So I think that's my biggest recommendation for people. That was a tangent, but
No, that's good, man. I always give, pretty similar advice. Like, I understand people want to start their business in like a lean way. So I have nothing against whatever people are doing in terms of like if they want to sell some AliExpress products or whatever.
yeah.
I just say make sure that you're doing your due diligence and like, don't try to like, sure, take action quickly, but also be thoughtful and intentional with your products. Like you can find great, I've bought AliExpress shit that's like amazing.
Right.
Products that my girlfriend has been using for years that I just bought like off of AliExpress to test. So there are good stuff. You just gotta like make sure you're doing the due diligence. And yeah, doing customer service, trying to give refunds like really easily.
Ordering product.
Ordering
right? Like,
product, yeah, dude.
A lot of people don't even do that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Because like a lot of these products, like, people get stuck in like a listing. It's like, oh, this listing has like 10,000 orders. It needs to be this. It's like, no, conceptually, there's a reason why that listing's selling, right? Like that product, whatever it is, can probably be duped and made better in some way, right? Find it on Alibaba, contact private suppliers and try to get an MOQ placed. You can buy get some loans for that. There's a lot of different ways around it, and be very unique too. Like I'll talk about this, my crypto group that we started 3-4 months ago now. I'm very open with our numbers that we're doing. We have 300 members paying $500 a month right now.
Really? 300 members?
300 members paying $500 a month.
Wow.
Our churn rate is 5%, right? So when people DM and they're like, oh, I want to join, but it's way too expensive, I'm like, hey, ask yourself this, like, why are 300 people paying $500 a month? And why is their churn rate only 5%? It's because it's fucking quality.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on in that server? People are making a fuck ton of money. And like that's a little bit different because we're selling information, we're selling strategies. It's not a physical product, but it's the same thought process of like at the base, what is it? Is it a good product? Are you offering people a good experience?
Right.
And I love using that as an example because
that's really interesting because I love thinking about digital products and just product as like a way to translate value. Not necessarily like this like fucking phone, like it can be more abstract than that. Can I ask you something about that? So how are you running that subscription? Like, are you doing it through LaunchPass or are you doing it like manually? LaunchPass?
LaunchPass, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. LaunchPass is really the only one that does it. Like, I don't know if you know Luca Nets Trades. He was telling me on a phone call the other day that they actually coded a bot to do it themselves. The same functionality, which long term you save a lot more money. But, I think his thought process was like he didn't want to trust Stripe. He didn't want to trust PayPal. I don't really like. For me,
that's fair.
If you're getting banned off Stripe or PayPal, it's like why? Probably a good reason. So, and we're running through Stripe. We haven't had a single chargeback in 4 months at a
Wow.
$500 ticket. So like that's again goes to show you how good the product is. But yeah, I saw you using LaunchPass for Netsphere. So
Well, I'm actually not. So I just last night I was like doing some research. I was like, brainstorming some ideas. I don't do that. Like as soon as somebody joins, basically so I do it through Kajabi, and then I have a community manager. I call him like the community success coach. His name is Zach, and he's a super dope
yeah.
guy, like amazing dude. And he confirms like, their subscription. But the biggest issue with that is like the managing memberships. It's a little tricky, so I had to change it from monthly to a yearly subscription so that it's like less issues to manage. But that's why I wanted to ask you. I'm always just curious to see how other people are doing it. So
Yeah, I mean, I know when I joined the group, I got a LaunchPass message.
yeah, I just last night I literally like was looking into it, and I like I like clicked on it, created an account, and it did some shit on the Discord server. I don't even know what. But yeah, so I'll have to look into that probably after this. But can I ask you something else? So is this crypto, info business, is that under your aggregator as well, or is that a separate business?
Yep. Yeah,
Interesting.
under my aggregator and very what's the word? Very intentional in that
Hmm.
decision too. We didn't have any MRR, and me personally, I believe in crypto. I have a large percentage of my net worth in crypto, mainly stable coins. Um, don't hold crypto, by the way. If anyone out there is watching this, like I think we've passed the time to hold crypto. Like if you're doing crypto, you should be getting in and getting out. You're riding the oscillations is where you make the money. A lot of people don't realize you can actually short crypto too.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely think for like trading crypto, I mean, that's how a lot of people get pretty insanely rich, definitely, like trading up and down.
it it is disgusting, man. And like, I'm an e-commerce guy through and through, but like for me, Art of Vaping, our trading group, that is e-commerce in a way. I mean, people are paying a subscription for information. So for me, it's like, how do I bridge the gap between Web3 and e-commerce? And I think like this is a good direction for me to go in. It's like I haven't quite figured out what the future is going to be, but I feel like this group is a good practice of like, all right, sandbox mode. Let's see what people are talking about. How can we like create other products? Um, how can we accept payment in crypto? You know.
Yeah.
Um, but where was I going with that? You said something.
I was asking you about if it was an aggregator company.
Oh, yes, yes. Long story short, it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
smart. I think that's, probably also for taxes and everything. It's probably best to keep everything under one business. So that's
absolutely.
something to keep in mind as well. Is your
Yeah.
business based in how do you set that up? Is it like a corporation?
Yeah, so it's a C corp based in California, which is stupid.
Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say, damn.
it's something that we're changing in the next year. It's not a really an issue because we haven't. 2020 we profited slightly. Last year we didn't profit. This year will be our first year of profit. Um, and then yeah, so really after this year is probably when we'll start looking into it. But I'm thinking Puerto Rico. I'm thinking Wyoming, Delaware. Um,
Would you live there? Would you move to Puerto Rico?
I would. Yeah.
It looks pretty
Yeah. I
nice.
love traveling, dude. I mean, like I
Yeah.
just hang out on beaches in small towns anyways, and I'm like, all right, like sure it's not Bali, it's not Tulum, but I mean it's an island in the middle of the Caribbean. Like how bad can it be?
Right.
You know?
For sure. I mean,
So
and a lot of people do it. I've seen
yeah.
a lot of people starting to do that to try to, minimize their tax expenses. I mean, I'm in Minnesota, so Minnesota is pretty trash for taxes as well. Like it's not much better than California. So I can definitely relate to that. Let me ask you something more personal. A lot of people always wonder these things, so I want to ask you. Uh, some people think that like success is like some that it comes from, mindset or morning routines, whatever. So I just want to ask you, what does your day to day look like? Like from morning to basically night, and like you can be as personal as you want with it.
It's a really good question. I actually just posted a thread kind of on this a few days ago, so it's fresh in my mind. But
Sick.
what I think about that is like no matter what, like if people want to reach successful levels in their business, you have to start with your personal life, right?
Mm.
No matter what. You cannot expect to reach any sort of prowess, power, or success in your business if you can't be diligent, loyal, and consistent to yourself. And what does that mean for me? I have been journaling every day for the last 3 years.
Wow.
I'm in something called an accountability group. It's me and two of my friends who are also running businesses. And every morning we wake up and we reflect semi-deeply on the day before, send our to-do list. What did we finish? What didn't we finish? How did you feel that day? What emotionally was going on inside of you? What was out of balance? And that's like an every morning thing, and that coupled with meditation daily. I also try to get moving, do yoga, work out in some capacity.
Mm.
Um, and I think, do a lot of reading. I read like about a book a month, not anything crazy, but like that's the number one thing is like people expect to learn and they're not going to read. It's like, you don't need to be in school, but you should continue to educate yourself,
Hell yeah.
and like I learned so much from these business narrative books. I mean, like a lot of these, I don't know, like Think and Grow Rich, like those kind of books are cool, but once you read one, you read them all.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
like I tend to get more out of reading books like Ride of a Lifetime about Bob Iger, Steve Jobs, Shoe
Oh,
Dog,
I
Phil
got
Knight.
that book right here. Like I'm literally reading it right now.
Let's go. That's a great book. It's a great
For
book, dude.
sure. I also read Shoe
Um,
Dog. I agree, like bro, that those are so helpful to get into the minds of these like billionaire
yep.
business owners, and they're also product focused. So that's why I
Yep.
asked you about that earlier. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's you have it figured out. I mean, you're sitting in the big chair, so obviously you have it figured out.
I mean, we're all trying
Um,
to just figure it out, taking
yeah,
it a day at a time. But man, that's awesome. And do you wake up? What time do you wake up?
I'm not as regimented about that. Sometimes I stay up late. I'm traveling a lot,
Yeah, yeah.
like I'm in Portugal right now, so we had a late flight and and woke up at 10 a.m. So it just depends. Like I just try to I have my Whoop here.
Mm.
Not sponsored,
Ooh.
but uh, I just try to you have your Aura ring, don't you?
I actually lost it. I lost it, and I haven't gotten a
Oh,
replacement. But I should. I should.
damn.
I got a bed jet recently though for my crib, and it's well, actually, I just installed it like last night, and it just keeps your bed really cool. So I wish I had my Aura ring to see like how that affects my sleep. But
I've never heard of
that's
that
nice.
yet. Gonna have to look it up.
Dude, yeah, I learned from
Um,
about it from Sam Ovens. He's like, I remember he made a video about like how to optimize your sleep, and he talked about bed jet, and it's a weird feeling like to have air in your like blanket. That's kind of what it does is it shoots air like inside of your bed. It's fucking weird, but it's kind of fire at the same time.
have you ever done cryotherapy?
No, but I want to. I mean, it looks kind of painful and cold, but like I could see
Yeah.
it being very helpful.
I love cryotherapy. I did it. I just got knee surgery 9 weeks ago, and I'm almost knock on wood at the point where I can run already.
Mm,
I've been recovering super quickly, and I think a lot of it's because cryo. Every day you go in there, you get blasted with negative 200-degree
that's fucking crazy.
air, but 3 minutes, and it's like it's a really good mental test too. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's where I could see it being like helpful, like building that mental fortitude. It's probably important.
yeah, and I don't know. Like I think a lot of these, like I love that you asked me that question because that's the buzz question. It's the buzzword. Like, what's your routine like?
Right.
Like what's your entrepreneurial strategies? And it's like, I think it is kind of like can be capped sometimes. People talk too much about it, but like at the gotta be disciplined. You gotta have something day in, day out that works for you. And, you can never stop.
Right.
If you stop, you're dead. If you stop, you lose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I fail every fucking day. I do something stupid every day. And it's like, I've tried to push as much failure into this front part of my life as possible because I truly feel like you'll never learn if you don't fail. Um, so I'm just trying to fall on my face every day. And like, I feel like I get stronger and stronger and stronger. And like, you know,
Yeah.
maybe I could have an exit at some point. And then when I start another business that will change the world, I'll be impenetrable because I'll know everything, you know? Um,
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there'll be another hurdle at that point. Like I feel like even
there will.
fucking Elon and Jeff Bezos run into shit every day.
Yeah.
Shit's crazy. There's so many levels to this. That's what I learned too
There's so many.
with Kevin Williams. That's the CEO of Balls. That's his name.
Okay.
Man, that was like it kind of rewired my brain in a way. Like I was like, oh shit, there are levels to this. It's crazy.
That is nuts, man. That is nuts. What about you? What are your future plans in the next couple of months here?
Well, it's about to be summer here, so I've been skating a lot. Like I've been skating every day. So that's another. I'm just trying to be really consistent with everything, and like I have the biggest growth periods in my life when I'm, like you said, very disciplined and like working consistently. And honestly, for me, it's not even about working like 16 hours a day, but just getting like good work done, like every day. So, for example, like I mentioned, I try to post as much as possible on YouTube because I feel like that gives me not only does that make an impact in the world, like it really helps people out a lot, but it also gives me a lot of leverage. Like you said, I can meet business owners, investors, who knows what, all sorts of people. So to me, it's really a really good use of my time, and I love it. So that's a big
Yep.
thing. I'm trying to consistently do things I love, that are also gonna get me far, ideally, but not necessarily. Like skating, probably not gonna make me any money, but it's not all about the money. I love skating, and I think honestly, like the exercise probably will make me happier and think clearer. So those sorts of things, I think they're intangible. So I'm just trying to be really consistent with everything I'm doing and trying not to get too out of focus. But I do, after this like summer period is over, where I'm gonna just grind, 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 grind. I want to like travel. I want to do basically like what you're doing, bro. Just like tuning in from Portugal, tuning in from fucking France, like Thailand. Like I really want to do like a world tour, which I've never done. So I've been itching to do that. And yeah, I mean, that's basically what it's gonna be like this year. Continuing to like nurture my team, and then yeah, that's about it. To be honest with you.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah, it's a lot, but like at the same time, it's just what I'm doing every day. Like I'm basically just like trying to do what I'm doing every day.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that's how you get a lot of growth, is at least for me, in my experience. Like everyone's journey is a little bit different, so that's why I can only speak from experience. But every big like milestone in my life has come from a really like a period of just like discipline and consistency. But I'm not working like all day or anything. Like I do a lot of fun stuff that I find fun, like skating, like I said. But yeah, man, I think the discipline of just doing that something every day is crucial for sure. And yeah, failing every day, that's massive.
The balance is nice. You've figured out the importance of balance, and
For sure.
that's one thing that will just help keep you sane. I don't think like people like me and you really are common, honestly, in this world. Like we operate on a pretty strange level,
Yeah.
pretty strange frequency, I guess you could say, and it's important to like stay based and try to break through that. Because like if I wouldn't control it, I would just be neurotic constantly, and I would just be like glued in and obsessive and robotic, and I
Yeah.
already am like that too much. So it's like you have to kind of force yourself to take a step back, have sex, like go on the beach, uh, right? Like go into a sauna, like skate, ski, and, but
No, that's so
yeah,
true, bro. I mean, I think also it keeps your brain like, I think it doing a lot of different things. Like for example, something I try to do as well is like listen to different music, because I read somewhere that like it increases your neuroplasticity, so you're more creative. Like you're making new neural connections. And something I learned so far from this book, like the Steve Jobs book, is how much he blended like art with technology. And like he was like a hippie, bro. He was just like not what you would expect from like the fucking most successful like entrepreneur. So that was super inspiring for me, because that's how I've always felt, is like I don't feel like this like entrepreneur person, but I have like huge ambitions. So that was really helpful. And like you said, doing all these things that are like keep you human is so important, man. Otherwise, like, what are we doing this for? Like, what's the point? That's how I view it.
exactly. And like at the end of the day, dude, you're like what you're doing as Arie, like your personal brands, your e-commerce brands. Like I know you're putting good products out there in the world,
Hmm.
and you're making impacts, positive impacts.
Thanks, man.
So
Just trying.
that's all that matters. And like, at the end of the day, like from someone who has a much smaller personal brand in e-commerce, like I know how powerful that is, and I know like how much experience and knowledge and money that's brought me, and you're just gonna continue to do that on a bigger level. Like put out a video a day. If you can keep that schedule, that's crazy, man. Like good for you. I've done that before, and it's like it's not easy.
Yeah.
Um, but good things are gonna come from it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And I mean, like I mentioned earlier, for me, it's just still about like doing stuff that I love. And like I said, a lot of my videos, I mean, you'll just have to keep up. It's like, it's fun. Like it's not like I'm making a tutorial every day. I'm like looking at brands that I find super interesting. I'm like watching other YouTube content that I think is super valuable and like learning. So I guess it's just about setting yourself up in a way that you're going to be able to like not burn out, like when you're having fun. So let me ask you something else. You mentioned a little bit about Thrasio and Amazon, and obviously we're both Shopify people. We're focused on Shopify, but is Amazon like an avenue that you're looking into at all for any of your brands, or are you trying to strictly be on Shopify?
Long story short, yes. We haven't put a ton of resources into it so far,
Hmm.
but that's definitely like as the money starts to come in and we start to pull bigger profits, loans, that's where a lot of the money is going to be going, is making sure we have dual presence. Um, it's also Amazon. I think it's a great way to actually tell if your product's good or not. You know, um, because if you have low quality product, it's never going to work on Amazon. You know,
Hmm.
like your listing will get shut down. Um,
True.
all that stuff. So I think it's a necessary step for any brands. I don't think like necessarily you need to put a ton of effort into it, but like at least to be listed is a positive. Because we find that like if you're running a lot of traffic from Facebook ads, like uh, this one brand we're running like a couple grand in Facebook ads a day right now, and we do like 4 or 5 sales a day on Amazon, and we don't run any ads on Amazon, so like we think it's coming from that. Um, yeah, it's
That
just
makes
an
total
extra couple
sense.
$100. Yeah, it's a couple extra $100 in revenue, and like, that's just plugging the funnel, right? Plugging the
Right.
leaky bucket. So yeah, I think it's positive for sure.
Sweet. Yeah, that's always interesting for me. I mean, there's all these different sub niches of e-commerce, like Amazon FBA, blah blah blah. I think it's good to be, open to different things. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about advertising, because obviously that's kind of the backbone of a lot of the boom in e-commerce, is like a good advertising strategy. So what are you guys do you do like for every brand that you're working on, is it pretty like a different marketing strategy, or do you have some sort of like system that you follow?
It's going to be different for every brand depending on margin, AOV, scalability, everything. But one thing that I'm a Facebook guy through and through. Like my skill set is in Facebook media buying and TikTok. Obviously, it's the same exact platform. They just copy and pasted it. Uh, and but we actually find like the most consistency and scalability in Google Ads, right?
Really?
Like digging down and like actually finding a product or how your product's being searched and presenting it in a way where you don't need to rely on like buying people's attention, right? Like you're a good brand without any sort of top of funnel advertising should be searchable, you know? Like people should at least be thinking of it in some conceptual way, right? Um, I think that there's like, I think it's a good answer.
Yeah, cool.
So,
Google is great. I agree. I'm very bullish on Google, not only as an advertising platform, but as a fucking company, bro. Like, I think Google is insane. So that leads me to another question that's I'm just curious about. You have your crypto alpha group, I guess you can call it. Are you investing into stocks at all, or property? What is your sort of what do you invest in?
yeah, so as of right now, I did invest into stocks quite a lot back in 2018, 2019, and same with crypto. Like, I was a Robinhood trader, and not really trader, more like a holder, right? Like I bought low when COVID came, and then just held and just saw that skyrocket rush, and tripled, quadrupled my net worth, pulled it all out, and now it's all sitting in stable coins, and I trade every day. Like it's pretty simple. Like there'll be a few calls a day in Art of Vaping, 90% success rate with the calls, and you just go in and couple 4 or 5x leverage, and you're good to go. In a good month, I'm pulling in like 80, 90% gains from that.
Damn.
And that's consistency. So it's crazy. Like I truly think like right now it's risky, but it is the best investment that you can make if you emotionally can control your tendencies. Because what happens is people get too excited, they start using higher leverage, they start leveraging more of their portfolio, and then oops, you get liquidated. Fuck, you're done.
Yeah.
It's like if you can control that tendency, then you're golden. And like I had a buddy, Phil, he started trading XRP in November with a specific strategy. He turned $1,000 into 800 grand in like 3 months.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. Would you be as willing to invest if you had no income? Because the thing that I'm concerned about is me as like from my own experience, again, I like trading. I think it's cool, but I'm not good at it, bro. Like I'm just not good. I feel like
Yeah.
I've lost more money. Like I've had my good days. I've had some great trades, but I feel like overall I'm like negative. I'm just positive on like my holdings. So do you still recommend that to somebody that is like, let's say they have 2K to their name, no, not really any income. Do you still think, they should be doing that, or would you? I guess I'm just curious.
Yes and no. I think that, and my plan isn't even to show my group here. I mean, obviously I'm biased. I think our group's great. Uh, but if you want to do it, it's like make sure to listen to people who actually know what they're doing. Like don't try to do it on your own. You're fucking insane, right? The only reason Phil was able to do that is because his best friend Alex, his dad works at Binance and he's a market maker, right? So think about it like that. Like, just telling that story. Great. How did he do that? There's always something underneath it, right? And like
Yeah.
the people that are making the calls in our group, they're whales, right? These people have some of them hundreds of millions of dollars worth in crypto.
Shit.
And, the benefit to that of aggregating those thoughts together, those people, that money, is you become a market maker, right? Like our group is now a market maker. Like when we make specific calls from someone who has proven their worth, we've seen we flow 100 million in the market from our group alone, and like that's power. So if someone has a couple $1,000, you can become part of that, right? But then the other side of it too, it's like you said, it's a risk. Like you need to also have an income. Like I don't think you should really even be thinking about investing or trying to duplicate your wealth if you have none, right?
Yeah.
Like create a base income first, even if it's a couple $1,000 a month, and then build off of that. That's what I think the smart way in doing it. And I know you're in, real estate to some extent, and I want to get into that. That's my long term, of course, but I think it's not risky enough for my age. And
That's fair.
like my thought process is like, I'm 24. Let's see how much I can grow, how quickly, get 10, 20, 30 million under my belt, and then think about it once I'm older,
No, I agree 100% with that. And
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to put it. Like, don't try to, triple your net worth by trading if you have none. Like, that's not a diss. Like, everybody starts from somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think I agree. I think the best investment you can make at the beginning of your wealth building journey is into yourself, like education, and also a business that can bring you, income. So
Right.
that's really great advice. How do you grow your group? Because honestly, I mean, I knew you had this group, but I didn't know much about it at all. Like, I don't really hear too much about it besides from your Twitter. But how are you growing this?
Yeah, so we haven't done any advertising, which is really sweet. It's all just word of mouth so far, affiliate, and then also my partner Brandon. He's a pretty big crypto influencer. He's like 10K on Twitter,
Oh shit.
which in crypto is pretty big. So he shows the group pretty hard. But really, he only got like I said the first 150 came from him, and then my YouTube videos. But since then, it's all been word of mouth growth, and our goal with this group isn't, hey, we don't want this to be a 10,000 person group, because then that would ruin what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because then you start getting stop hunted and all these technical things. But we want to just we essentially want to weed people out who are the weak links, and then just continue to bring in people who are bigger. And like me, I'm only trading with 50, 100K at a time, but at 10x leverage, it's $1 million. And I have one of the smallest sizes in the group.
Wow.
I got a small. No.
You got the smallest size, huh?
You get the smallest size of the group. But yeah, man. So it's just something with when it's a good product, it won't grow quickly. But if you have a good product, good service, it'll grow.
Yeah.
We're just tweeting about it and stuff, and that helps. And I think maybe you don't see much about it because the crypto community, the people who are really in it, it's a little subsect of Twitter, whereas money Twitter is a little different.
True.
So yeah, but we're around.
Yeah. Well, that's dope, man. I mean, I love that you're doing all this stuff, and we've been going here for an hour, so that's amazing. I mean, I think we'll probably wrap this up soon, just because I know you're busy. You're probably trying to spend some time. Are you there with your girlfriend, or?
Yeah, she's locked in the bathroom right now.
Oh shit. Okay, so I'm sure she's trying to get out. But yeah, man, I mean, this has been extremely, insightful, not only for me, but I'm sure for, my audience. Where can people find you? I mean, I'm going to put this stuff in the description, but, where are you most active, or where do you want people to reach you?
Yeah, definitely. 6 months ago, I would have said my Instagram, but hackers have different ideas. So.
Oh, you got your
I'm on
Instagram banned?
Oh, dude, yeah, I got hacked. These people were trying to they took it from me, and then they were trying to get me to pay 50K to get it back. And I was like, fuck that, and then just deactivated it. So it's gone, which sucks. But anyways, I mean, I love Twitter even more. I'm finding that community to be way more helpful anyways. So find me on Twitter, YouTube. I wasn't posting on YouTube for the last 3 months, but starting Monday, I'm coming back weekly. So
Sick.
Pretty excited about that. But yeah, drop a like, sub, follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, get that algorithm boost.
Yeah, Arie knows what's good with that.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, I mean, again, this has been extremely valuable for everybody that is going to be listening, so I appreciate your time. I'm hoping we can do this again. Like, I'm trying to bring everybody back that has been on here, and if you enjoyed this, like, we can just do it again and provide more value for people. Yeah, man. So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, we could do like a before and after, like, 5 years later, did he accomplish what he said he was going to do,
That would be crazy, bro. That would go nuts.
I'll have you on my YouTube too. We can do a little interview as well. So.
Let's do it. I'm always open to it. Well, I appreciate your time, man, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and same with everybody watching.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Arie. I appreciate you having me, and we'll talk soon, buddy, okay?
Sweet. Talk soon. Peace.